Through safety, service, and protection, the Ohio Department of Public Safety is contributing to a safer Ohio every day. ODPS is committed to its mission by working with its partners and supporting efforts that make Ohio a safe place. One of those partners is Ohio Task Force 1. Ohio Task Force 1 is first a State of Ohio response element. The task force is sponsored by the Miami Valley Fire EMS Alliance located in Dayton, Ohio. The Alliance is a council of governments supporting 21 fire departments in the Montgomery and Greene County area. Additionally, the Ohio Emergency Management Agency is a signatory to the creation of the task force and is the authorizing entity for in-state deployments and exercises of Ohio Task Force 1. The task force is also part of the National Urban Search and Rescue Response System, managed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. Ohio Task Force 1 is one of 28 urban search and rescue task forces within FEMA's national system, which encompasses both coasts and generally equal distribution across the interior of the country. The mission of Ohio Task Force 1 is to provide a resource capable of locating, medically treating, and extricating entrapped or supporting removal of victims when the entrapment disaster exceeds the capability of local and regional response units. Ohio Task Force 1's mission extends beyond structural collapse to include search and rescue over wide areas and in chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive and water environments. Ohio Task Force 1 is composed of 6 teams with 20 special skill deployment positions. The task force roster consists of approximately 215 team members and support staff. Day-to-day operations of the task force are managed by a staff of 4 full-time and 9 part-time personnel. Financial support for the task force comes from approximately $1.2 million of annual funding provided by the state of Ohio and FEMA. Task force members are trained to operate in an all-hazards environment, including natural disasters, acts of terrorism, and other man-made disasters. Task force members come from both the private and public sector, and while most are from Ohio's fire service, some personnel are from outside Ohio and from non-fire service professions. 72 participating agencies support their employees' membership on the task force, and an additional 39 team members participate on the task force independent of their employers. The task force became deployable in April of 1998. Since that time, Ohio Task Force 1 has deployed as a complete task force or contributed personnel for individual assignments to 24 major incidents, including the Xenia, Ohio tornado in 2000, the World Trade Center collapse on 9/11, the Columbia Space Shuttle explosion, multiple hurricanes including Katrina and Sandy, and the 2013 Moore, Oklahoma tornado and the state of Colorado flooding. Prior to the events of 9/11, the primary mission of Ohio Task Force 1 was to provide a heavy search and rescue response to natural disasters that involved large structure collapse, such as earthquakes and hurricanes. Following 9/11, because of the terrorist threat, Ohio Task Force 1 was charged with the mission of performing these operations in a potential chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive environment. In 2013, Ohio Task Force 1's mission was expanded once again to include search and rescue in a swiftwater environment. At full capability, Ohio Task Force 1 responds as an 80-member contingent operating 24 hours a day for up to 14 days. Ohio Task Force 1 maintains a $5 million deployment cache of rescue and support items that contains more than 27,000 pieces of equipment. Personnel and cache items are transported by an 18-vehicle fleet augmented by trailers, forklifts, and all-terrain vehicles. All of these capabilities are maintained in a constant 4-hour wheels-rolling deployment status from time of activation by the Ohio Emergency Management Agency. Ohio Task Force 1 can also deploy a specialized, modular component of the task force for specific mission or incident support. This modular component can be as small as a single person, an engineer with a specialized structure collapse experience, to a team of 4 to 20 personnel, a 4-handler and dog live or cadaver canine team, or a swiftwater rescue team. Ohio Task Force 1 is fully self-sufficient. At no time will the task force ask for or require logistical support of the jurisdiction affected by the disaster. Ohio Task Force 1's facility assets include a 35,550 square foot warehouse, a 6,000 square foot training building, and 8 acres of training grounds supporting $300,000 in training props. The training facility is shared with the City of Dayton Fire Department. It was built using only State of Ohio funding and, while managed by Ohio Task Force 1 staff, is available for use by any not-for-profit first responder, governmental, military, or non-governmental agency. The task force has a core philosophy that large disaster search and rescue operations can only be successfully achieved through an integrated and mutually supporting effort of all responders. Ohio Task Force 1 routinely trains and exercises with fellow search and rescue partner agencies, including our sister urban search and rescue task forces, Ohio's 8 regional search and rescue strike teams, and the Ohio National Guard's specialized units for chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive response and air movement. Ohio Task Force 1 understands the critical importance of joint operational capabilities. In 2012 and 2013, the task force trained a combined total of 220 days, which was more than 30% of the 2-year period. A sampling of this activity includes 35 days of joint training with military and civilian search and rescue partners that encompassed wide area search, helicopter operations, convoy movement, technical rescue operations, communications, and joint mission command. The combined total of the task force's activities in 2012 and 2013 consisted of 31,052 personnel hours. Nearly all of this training was completed without compensation to individual task force members or their employers. The associated personnel costs of these activities would have been approximately $1,639,000. Whether a shopping center in your neighborhood has collapsed from heavy snow load, a large area of a city has been impacted by flooding or a tornado, a chemical plant has exploded, or an earthquake has caused a major highway or building to crumble and entrap victims, Ohio Task Force 1 is proud to be a ready resource to provide aid to the residents of Ohio and the United States. To apply for a task force position or for more information, please visit our website or call 937-512-2224.